X on the field. It's a miracle. Tennessee has pulled a miracle.
Welcome into the Feels Like 99 podcast, the home of your 10-8 Tennessee Titans. I'm your host, Drake Kizer, and as always, I am joined by my co-host, Caleb Waters.
The 10-8 Tennessee Titans, also known as the team that was defeated in the divisional round. Also, we are joined today by our recurring guest, Andrew Waters.
It's good to be back for my third episode, even though it comes at such a time of sorrow for Titans fans, but glad to be here.
And we are also glad to have Andrew on for episode number 10, the Vince Young / Jake Locker edition. Because
no, it's just the Vince Young episode. No one else.
See, we're going to have a little bit of an argument, I can already tell. Andrew, what is your opinion on Vince Young, Jake Locker?
All right, well, I'm going to tell a little story that nobody really knows, but Caleb...
He wears number 10 for Vince Young.
Okay, just ruin the whole story. Thanks.
He wears number 10.
Caleb always holds us over.
1-0.
So when I was 6 years old playing baseball, it came time to choose numbers. And I was like, hey, Vince Young, dude's pretty good. I'm going to go with number 10. And then I realized how bad he ended up sucking. And my birthday just happens to be on October the 10th. So I kind of was like, oh yeah, I'm number 10 because 10-10. But Caleb never lets me sell it off that way.
Nope. You want to tell him what number you were when you were 5 and your reasoning?
As a 5-year-old, I played for the Goodlettsville Cardinals. And I was number 5 for Albert Pujols.
Ooh, boo. That is a straight up boo for me. No on Albert Pujols. Only time I liked Albert Pujols was when I thought there for that split second, and when everybody thought he was going to leave the Cardinals and go to the Cubs instead of the Angels. You remember that?
Back when he was a prime player.
Oh, yeah, like this was going to be like that was going to win us the World Series. Like years before Theo or anything else, like that was going to do it.
He leads every hitting category for active players.
Just because those 2 or 3 seasons, he was insane.
And you have been listening to MLB Network's Young Guns podcast.
Yeah, exactly. We sound like we're like the baseball podcast. Anyway, so I think the main focus of this week's podcast, definitely, other than talking about the greatness of the number 10s, Vince Young and Jake Locker, would be this week's game against the New England Patriots, where unfortunately, unlike our predictions last week, the Titans fell in pretty convincing fashion, pretty ugly fashion if you're not a New England fan, which I don't think anybody in the country is other than New England fans. So what all did we think about this week's contest?
I'm sorry, who did you say our opponent was? The Patriots?
Yes.
I think we played the refs, man.
Oh, my gosh.
I know I sound like the boy who cried wolf, but I knew going in that it was going to be difficult to beat the Patriots straight up, but then I realized the NFL tuck rule, the catch rule, all revolves around them, and so did the officiating crew, but life goes on, I guess.
Yeah, the refs definitely took away some of the Titans' early momentum, but as a player, you really just have to get over that and have that kind of tunnel vision that you always hear about. And I didn't think the Titans did a very good job of that, but
how could they?
Go down like that.
Well, yeah, how do you think they could have done a better job with maybe – it's really hard to overcome that kind of thing as a player. So, as a player, what are some things that you can actually do to try and block out? I mean, because when you're making good plays and the refs seemingly take them away, what else can you be doing?
I mean, there's only really one thing you can do, and that's just move on to the next play.
They tried.
They did try. We have to give them credit because they kept coming and they kept bringing a lot of pressure and they kept getting more positive plays. But I feel like at a certain point, we just got overwhelmed, I'd say was the best word, in more ways than one. Players, coaching, just everything.
Well, I mean, you can say we did, but we should never have been in that position to become overwhelmed. Because if you think about it, How many penalties were on the Patriots? Do you have any idea? Like 2 or 3, probably.
Oh yeah, I mean in that first half they were relatively even until the very end. Like the first quarter was so clean. I was like, wow, this is like going to be one of those games where they don't call a lot of penalties or anything. And then that second quarter, they were just absolutely killing us on the penalties
What
and not
made
really
me
calling any on them.
right? What made me the maddest probably was when I don't know if it was a linebacker like held Delaney Walker and basically like tackled him, and it should have been pass interference, but they called defensive holding.
Oh yeah.
That just made me so mad. It was like even when they called penalties on New England, it was like, oh, you're offsides on a punt, or you're false starting on a punt. Oh, just kidding. We're going to call a neutral zone infraction after we made a call. Can you even change a call in the NFL like that?
I've never seen that happen before ever. Andrew, have you ever seen anything like that happen that you can remember?
Not that I can think of.
I
This
just
shit
don't
was
understand
gay.
how you can go back and change the call. Like they literally called one thing, went back on a replay on something that I didn't even think was reviewable, looked at it and then said, I think the Patriots were actually caused to do that by the Titans player, reversed it, gave them a first down and just kept going.
That's probably the worst thing I've seen since the Rams game, where the refs called like their own timeout on the onside kick, and just nothing ever
Yes.
happened with that.
Yeah, exactly. Like, no, why does no discipline ever get handed out on garbage like that?
I don't know, because it's a freaking NFL, and no one can be like, we're going to challenge you to like make this right. You're going to lose. I mean,
Well, that's the same thing that happens in college too. I mean, like we've already talked about. I mean, I was in attendance at that Music City Bowl, and even if I was not a Kentucky fan, even if I was cheering for Northwestern, some of those calls and penalties and ejections, like they're just ridiculous. Like there's got to be more accountability at all levels of refereeing
there
right
should be
now.
probably like heavy fines, especially in the NFL. Also,
Or maybe even
what made me,
suspensions.
yeah,
There's like
well,
a
I'm
player
sure
that
they
gets
get,
suspended.
Well,
yeah,
I
I
think
mean,
they should be forced to talk to the media after every game. The coaches and players
yes,
are,
they
so
should.
why do the referees get a free pass and not have to answer questions and justify their actions?
That's actually a really good point.
It's just
Even
one of
if it
those
was out like
things.
a one-word statement or something, that's all you get from them.
Yeah, especially like after that Music City Bowl from with Kentucky and Northwestern, they said, "Did he say anything to you that prompted you to toss him?" He said, "No." Like, how can you kick a guy out for that then?
Exactly. Like
I
stuff
don't
like that. There's just
understand.
no accountability to it because they fear, like you're saying, even in college or the NFL, like they just know that no one's really going to come after them. At least they think. Okay, so those first couple of drives, the Patriots and Titans both were kind of just feeling each other out. I think we can all agree that not much was going on in those first few drives either way. But we come out on, I think it was either our second or our third drive, maybe second, where we drove down the field like we started out on like our own 5 yard line and drive all the way in for the touchdown. Mariota's looking great. You know, Corey Davis catches his first career touchdown on a perfect, beautiful pass, awesome catch. Everything's going good. And see, the Patriots get the ball back. They respond. And I didn't even have a problem with that. I'm like, okay, you know, this is going to actually be like a good playoff game, not going to be some type of blowout or anything, but just a good little trade-off of scores. But then after that point, it's like everything changed because it's almost like we got to score one time, and then after that, it was like, what way can we figure out to absolutely destroy any type of momentum that the Titans could ever try to gain?
What was the first thing that got us? Was it their punt?
No, it was a screen.
What happened on that?
Well, from what I saw, in my opinion, there's an obvious hold that got missed. But then that screen broke off for like however many yards, and
You're
then they
right.
scored. And then you have the Decker pass interference,
Yes.
complete BS.
Soft call. Oh my
And
god.
then they had the punt. And those were my three biggest points that kind of killed all Titans' momentum. Then you have Brady getting to a rhythm, and it was all downhill from there.
Well, I think they got into a rhythm mostly because they figured out our number one weakness, which I'm honestly surprised that more teams haven't exploited throughout the year, and that's that we only have 3 down linemen and that we only play 3 down linemen. So those guys, if they have an up-tempo type style, like the one that we like to run with Mariota and kind of catch teams off guard and where they can't sub, our guys will get tired. And unless we waste timeouts getting them off the field, and we really don't even have anybody to rotate them with, like they get so exhausted and worn out. I mean, you could just tell their effort was way down because they were just exhausted.
That's another thing that you're speaking about that I had a huge problem with this coaching staff. They just didn't swap guys out.
There was no rotation at all. No, it was like backups didn't even matter.
It was like one deep depth chart. Like, really?
Yeah, you got to be deeper than that in the NFL. Not only just injuries, but just in-game situations like that. Like when guys like Casey and Daquan Jones and Sly Williams, like those are big dudes. Like they're going to get tired when they're out here going tempo. Like give them a break for a second and have 2 or 3 other guys to sub in. Like I don't care what defense we run. We have 3 or 4 receivers on our team that we don't even throw to or dress out. So I'm like, we're just wasting spots.
And that's something that you can probably correct in practice or off-season conditioning or in-season conditioning. I mean, it's the NFL. You're the best in the world at doing this, coaching or playing. And we learned that our coach and our coaching staff wasn't good enough. That was a big takeaway. We not only did, I mean, we got outplayed, but the way we got out coached was just kind of insane, to be honest with you.
Well, one thing that really, really surprised me, and I'd like to get Andrew's take on it, what do you think was going on with that offensive line play just throughout the game? And I mean, obviously when Conklin went down, quality's going to decline, but what do you think was going on?
Yeah, the main pinpoint I was going to say was Conklin going down is actually a way bigger loss than it seems because dude was all-pro his rookie year, and that just makes the workload tougher on Lawan, who clearly didn't have his best game, and it was just kind of a domino effect.
Well,
how big of a drop-off would you say that Dennis Kelly is to any of the linemen that we have?
I mean, not too huge, but definitely, there's definitely a difference there.
I just think him stepping in, that was what I was going to say, was I just saw where when Dennis Kelly steps in, and he's like a good kind of like swing man, almost like guard tackle, you know what I mean, kind of thing, like comes in and can kind of be versatile. But if you're asking him to be like your starting right tackle, I just don't know that really suits his skill set. Like he's a very versatile guy and everything like that, but I just don't know that I want to see him if Conklin is going to miss significant time next season, which he may or may not. I mean, with the timing of this injury, it does put a lot of things into kind of question whether he could be back for the early part of the season. But if he's not able to be, we're going to have to be looking somewhere for probably at least a replacement level right tackle.
Have you heard like the extent of his injury? Is it a complete tear? Is it a partial tear?
I think it's just a normal torn ACL. I'm pretty sure. Like I didn't really get any read on the severity of it other than just torn ACL.
What's the timetable for a return on that? Because like the last time I thought about it, I thought it was like a whole year,
like a calendar year.
Yeah, I mean that's like at the worst. I think a lot of guys kind of short arm it, and maybe we'll get it back in like. Some people are saying that he might start out the season on like the PUP list, like the physically unable to perform. So that would mean probably missing significant portion of training camp and potentially being able to come in late preseason.
So this says, according to UPMC Health Beat, I'm not sure exactly what that stands for. It says whether you need ACL surgery as a result of a sports injury or another type of accident, the recovery timeline is similar for most people. A full recovery can take 6 to 9 months to return to your pre-injury condition with full range of motion and stability in the knee joint.
And see, that's kind of what I've heard recently. I think it used to be closer to a year for like full capacity, but I've heard now it's more like 6 to, I've heard 9, I've heard 8, like somewhere in that range.
I know I'm not a sports medicine doctor or a trainer or anything, but when you get a young guy like that, you can't push him. You saw how it went with Marcus this year. They pushed him.
Corey Davis.
Pushed him. DeMarco Murray.
I'd say definitely pushed him too.
The crazy thing about it is that he walked to the locker room under his own power.
And no limp at all.
I really thought that he was fine. Like I told my dad when it happened, I was like, oh, he's probably just going to go get an MRI or whatever, but he'll probably be back out. Like I did not think he was hurt bad at all.
Shoot him up.
Yeah, it's definitely shocking to see that it was an ACL tear after watching him walk the way he did. But
I mean, that slow-mo replay, you could see him, like, yelling. But like you said, like, the way he got up and went to the locker room, I was like, he'll be back. We'll be fine.
Here's one thing that I saw that was kind of interesting to me that I thought was something else we could discuss is like a lot of people were noting, especially once it came out that he had like actually torn his ACL, that him along with all the other young linemen don't really wear the knee braces. He's one of those guys, a lot of the older ones will wear, the big bulky like knee braces and stuff like that. He's not a guy that does. And I don't think Lawan does either. And some people are speculating and saying that the uptick in some of these offensive lineman injuries are because they're wearing less and less protection and they're always down in their stance, almost kind of like a catcher type thing. Like, they need more protective gear with the way that they wear and tear on their bodies. Do we think that anything like that could have played in, or we think it's just a freak accident, conditioning, or, anything like that?
I definitely think a knee brace could have lessened the severity of it, but if you get rolled up on, I mean, there's not all that much you can do to stop it. My dad makes me wear knee braces. I think they're super uncomfortable, but I did have an instance this year. We're playing on the road one game, and I probably could have blown my knee, but that brace saved me, so I've got high
kind of what I was getting at. I was kind of thinking that, I was pretty sure that you wore knee braces, and I wondered if you thought that they really impacted a whole lot or not, but it sounds like you think they do.
I'd say it's definitely worth the discomfort for your safety, especially when it's the knees.
So another point that we didn't really touch on yet was I think Jonnu Smith tore his MCL. Is that correct?
Yeah, it was like a little mess up in there or something.
That sucks too. We were already down. It was like they were kicking us.
Somebody should just take a shot at Brady.
We really should have.
Oh yeah.
Oh, by the way, I am completely convinced that he got hair plugs and he dyes his hair. Completely convinced.
How's he not gone gray at all?
And his hairline is so like it's fine, but it's jacked up for him being 40 and not having any gray.
So you're saying it's abnormally good for his age?
No, I'm saying it's fake. And I think it's obviously fake.
Well, he has just a little bit too good of a look to be that old. He's not wrinkly either. You notice that?
Yeah, not wrinkly at all. Dude, I'm telling you.
His wife is a supermodel. He's got those good skincare products.
No. It's his witch doctor.
Guerrero.
Yeah, Drake said that when he told me, I knew he had that personal trainer or whatever on the sideline, but when Drake texted me, he was like, yeah, Brady's got that weird witch doctor that, I had to call him that ever since.
Well, did you see on the sideline? I actually caught him because I was kind of like looking for it. But one of those times where they zoomed in on Brady on the bench, he wasn't drinking like a Gatorade or whatever else. He was drinking out of like a special bottle, and it was like that mineral water that he drinks.
It's a magical potion.
Yeah, it's something. Now, what did we think about the fact that they were throwing up like big passes and long, deep throws when they're up like 14 or 21 points on us? Like third or fourth quarter I'm talking about here, and they are throwing it like they're trying to get a comeback in the Super Bowl.
It's coming for them, dude. I don't know when it's going to happen, but when they fall, they're going to fall, and it's going to hurt them. I wish, honestly, I can't believe that Coach Mularkey wasn't like, all right, guys, this is BS. Like, go out there and do something. Because they lose only maybe one guy for them got hurt.
Yeah, and a lot of them just didn't even play. Like they not rested, but they certainly didn't rush anybody back to play against us.
Andrew, in your playing days, have you ever taken a cheap shot at somebody?
Nah.
Not even a little bit?
Trying to think. I'm not really that kind of player, I wouldn't say.
I did it in pre-middle school football. We were playing the Bellevue Steelers, and they were taking cheap shots on us. So I took my one and only cheap shot. No, I took a cheap shot in high school too.
on who?
And that's only because he took a cheap shot on me first. Dude, it was a freaking JV game against Station Camp. Dude had his hand up under my face mask. It would definitely would have been illegal touching if it was a real game. But my head was straight back, and I got him back.
Was that at home or away?
I think it was away.
Yeah, because I think I remember exactly that. That play, that game, that everything.
Yes, I remember. I was so mad. So mad. Well, anyways, Another thing that we didn't touch on last week that I really would have liked to, our producer and my co-host Drake Kizer was channeling his inner MJ. Drake had come down with a very, very severe flu. No, I'm just kidding. He had a terrible stomach bug, and he prevailed through to record episode number 9. So Drake, our listeners, and myself would like to thank you.
Well, I'm humbled, very humbled to have been able to push through the illness, the sickness, and it was definitely very difficult not being able to hardly go to work even, and especially to sit down and record and also edit in the days following recording and try to put out a good episode for the listeners. But you got to persevere, you got to push through, and I tried my best. But speaking of trying their best, but maybe not quite succeeding, Mike Mularkey was actually relieved of his duties as Titans head coach in the days following our blowout loss to the Patriots. And a lot of people were very surprised, including, I would say, all three of us. I know we kind of all been discussing, maybe some staff changes or things like that, but I don't think any of us thought that he'd actually be fired.
Well, it all started at his closing press conference when he was like, "Yeah, I think we're pleased with Marcus's development," and he thought Terry Robisky did a good job, and that he did not anticipate any staff changes.
LOL.
That absolutely blew me away. Like when he was absolutely just, it's like he had not seen any of our games this whole season to say what he was saying.
That was Mularkey's atrocious take on the season.
Oh my god.
So what? Okay, I know this isn't really on this topic, but if Mularkey was like, "All right, I'll give you whatever staff changes you feel that is necessary," what do you guys pick, and why, and who do you replace that current coach with?
Okay, so if we're talking Mularkey extension but with staff changes, and we're only
Yes.
doing one, then if we're saying, how about a keep one, fire one? Like a definite keeper and a definite fire.
Okay.
I'd say that the definite keeper on his staff anyway, I'm going to have to go with Dick LeBeau as long as he wants to come back, because I feel like the players still rally around him. I feel like he's still got the mind and the capability to be able to coach a competent defense. But like I suggested on last week's episode, before we obviously knew that Mularkey was actually going to be fired, that potentially we could bring in a young mind and kind of have him study under LeBeau for a couple of years or something. But the definite fire for me would have to be Terry Robisky. Like, I know that Mularkey's not going to change his entire offensive philosophy because he's just a run-first type of guy, but I just think that a change in Terry Robisky still would, favor a lot of what the fans want, and I think Marcus would not be displeased with, even if it was the same kind of philosophy, just another new kind of some fresh blood in the room is what I think would help.
I pretty much 100% agree with Drake.
Okay, so I'm going to change it up a little bit. I'm not going to take those two. My definite keep is probably Russ Grimm, the offensive line coach. And then I'd say the definite fire is our quarterback's coach, just because I don't even know who it is. Do you guys know?
I have no clue, and I haven't heard anything about it, which is kind of interesting given the concerns that we've been having with that.
I think that's all you need to know. I mean,
His name is Jason Michael.
Jason Michael.
You can never trust a dude that has two first names.
I'm almost positive that he was on Ken Wisenhunt's staff as I don't know exactly what he was. I almost want to say that he was offensive coordinator,
He was.
yeah, Wisenhunt kind of still called the plays like McVay in LA, but you know what I mean?
Yeah, 2014, 2015, he was offensive coordinator, and he was the tight ends coach for the Chargers from 2011 to 2013.
So yeah, he's like a total Wisenhunt guy that obviously did not follow him back to San Diego / LA once he got fired from here. Huh, that's pretty interesting.
It is interesting.
hey, give me 5 minutes because I'm about to have to run to the bathroom. So you guys keep recording. I'll be quick.
Okay. while Mr. Caleb is in the bathroom experiencing his own flu game type podcast, we definitely need to start moving in the direction of maybe talking about some candidates for the Titans coaching vacancy. So a few names have been kind of floating around out there. Obviously, the Titans were kind of all in on Josh McDaniels, but it looks like that he's going to go to the Colts. And some people are saying that he might not have even been the best fit here anyway. So it looks like the Titans are shifting their focus to other candidates. And one big name that's really popped up in a lot of different discussions about the Titans vacancy is Mike Vrabel from the Houston Texans. He is a former player, played many years with the Patriots. John Robinson knows him well. And, just like I said, he hasn't been out of the league too many years as a player, so he relates to a lot of the veteran guys. Younger guys feel like they can relate to him as well. And so I just wanted to get your opinion, Andrew, about what do you think would be, if you could choose any type of coach, young, old, former player, not ever a player or whatever, or not even the same position type coach, what would you say is like the perfect coach and the perfect like coaching style that you really prefer?
So I definitely prefer younger coaches because they're not as far removed from playing football, so they kind of understand what we're going through better than older coaches. Like when you have an older coach, things are a little different when they're playing. Like they're like, oh, we used to have 3-a-days and no water breaks. But the younger coaches are a little more relatable and a little cooler, to be honest, a little more hip.
Yeah, I would take a young coach as well.
Just intervenes right back into the middle like he wasn't just in the bathroom.
I wasn't. What are you talking about? Anyway, yeah, I literally had to get up and run to the bathroom. I don't think I'm getting sick though. But anyways,
What'd you have for dinner?
What did I have? Oh yeah, I had made chicken fajitas.
Ooh, that'll get you.
Yep.
You know what I had?
Pizza.
Yeah, pizza that Dad messed up.
Oh,
He
great.
brought it home and it had artichokes and peppers. I was like, bro, you tripping.
Did he even look at it?
No.
He just bought it right out the box.
All right, thanks.
Because they just opened up a Jonathan's, and we went there yesterday, and I really like the pizza I got, but I got it with like no peppers or artichokes, and he said he didn't order it that way.
So he ordered it wrong.
Yeah, and I couldn't just like pick them off because like it was like embedded in the cheese, like it was baked in.
Did you eat any anchovies?
Nope.
Did you have any pizza?
There were no anchovies on there. They were artichokes. Thank you.
No. Selective hearing.
Open up your ears.
I'm sorry. Anyways, for those that do not know our father, he's pretty notorious for messing up orders.
He like offered to get me like more pizza and stuff, but I don't want to make him do it.
Well, what? You should have said that first.
Oh well. Caleb, this will be new information to you. So you know that cable box that doesn't work anymore?
Does it work?
No, I threw it away. Well, did you know we rent those for like $10 a month?
Yeah, I did.
Jeez, I didn't know.
And you threw it away?
Yes.
Oh, boy.
Threw it away. Just put it in the trash.
That was similar to our parents' reaction.
What did they say?
That exactly.
Are you in trouble?
No.
Oh, my.
Dad just gonna roast me for a really long time.
Why did you throw it away?
What was I supposed to do with it?
Well, I don't know. Maybe ask somebody. I'm about to throw this cable box away. Is there anything?
You guys
I
are
should
making me
do?
look so bad right now.
Look, he cannot look any worse right now than Mike Mularkey did right before he got fired. I don't think that's impossible.
Back on track.
There it is. There it is. So back to what they were talking about. I think you definitely have to have a younger coach. Like Andrew said, they're much more connected. They get it. And I mean, I know it'd be kind of like McVay. How old is McVay? Like 33? So there's probably some guys that are older than he is on the team.
Yeah, probably so. Like the really like veteran players, I bet so.
Yeah, I would still take a younger guy. I mean, you see how it goes with the older guys. It's like the Titans the other day were playing in the 1960s.
Well, that's kind of my thing too. Is like I don't know. Some of those older guys, it seems like they just get out of touch at a certain point. Not that they don't want to stay up on things, but at a certain level, they almost kind of think like, that worked in my day, so that still works. But really, it doesn't.
So, okay, this is my last little coaching thing. If you guys could pick a coordinator or a college coach or whoever to be the Titans coach, regardless of like the probability of them coming, who do you pick?
I would say right now, after reading up on a lot of the kind of candidates and guys that could actually be potential guys for this job vacancy right now, and I would say that my pick and also the Vegas favorite at the moment for the Titans job, like I already brought up to Andrew when you were in the bathroom, Mr. Mike Vrabel, a former player, a former NFL player, played from 1997 till 2010, and
Jeez.
3-time Super Bowl champion, New England Patriots 50th anniversary team, and 700 tackles, 11 interceptions, 57 sacks, 17 forced fumbles. Obviously, a heck of a player. And even though he's been coaching in a official capacity in the NFL for under 5 or 6 years, he has really produced a lot of players that have a lot of great things to say about him. And actually, we're going to give our listeners a chance right now to listen to what Texans linebackers Brian Cushing and Jadeveon Clowney have to say about Mike Vrabel as their position coach.
He makes every day that much better. And just things that he's taught me and the way I've learned from him and the way he's motivated me is awesome. Having a player and a coach that's been there before, done that, won the big games, playing the big games, and played at an extremely high level, teaching you is a blessing.
I'm saying Mike Vrabel might be the smartest coach I ever had. He talks so fast, he's so smart, and he get us lost sometimes in the meeting. We be like, what? Like, slow down, coach. You can't talk like that so fast, but he's a smart coach, man. He pitching the right places to make plays, and you need a guy like that to help you.
So,
Andrew, who would your pick be?
If I could have anybody,
Anybody.
I'd go with the hottest coach in the game right now, Nick Saban,
And that is why.
because he's Nick Saban.
Well, anyways, I don't know who I would pick. I mean, there's a lot of guys out there, a lot of coaches, good and bad. Titans just dodged a bullet with, I think, of getting rid of Coach Mike, as the players call him. But I do know that the players love him, so get a young guy. Maybe even bring back the Lane Kiffin from FAU.
I knew you were gonna say that.
It'd be awesome. What do you mean?
well, it kind
Imagine-
of makes sense because I just think that after the type of culture that Mularkey created, it would be hard to bring in some type of really strict, tough guy, to like get everybody in line or something. Like, we're going to have to figure out a way that we can hire a coach with that same type of personality. And that was one of the things that Robinson really keyed in on in the press conference was he wants a leader of men that will maximize the talent that we have.
Okay. Well, with that being said, I just thought of one. He's great defense coordinator. He was a great college coach. He was a decent NFL coach. And it is somebody that UT fans are very familiar with. Greg Schiano. Just kidding.
Oh my gosh.
He sucks. No, that would be. I think I would root for somebody else if they are Schiano.
Maybe we could orchestrate another Vols protest if we actually hired Schiano, but I don't think anybody's touching him for a long time. Something that I saw Cameron Wolfe, the new Titans ESPN reporter, he actually replaced Paul Kaharski. One of the things that he posted a link as soon as we were linked to talking to Mike Vrabel. One of the things that he posted was a video. It was an interview, kind of like the one that Mularkey just did, kind of like an exit interview for the season. And he was really talking about, and the media was asking him about, for some reason they were asking him about Deshaun Watson and other elite type quarterbacks. I guess, I'm really not exactly sure why that they were asking him these specific questions, but he was talking about Ben Roethlisberger, and he had some very interesting comments to make about what really kind of separates elite level quarterbacks from, kind of the middle of the road and the journeymen. And this is another opportunity for some of our listeners who maybe haven't gotten much of a chance to get to know Coach Vrabel very much, especially if he might be coming to Tennessee. here we're going to give you a chance to listen in on his comments about, like I mentioned previously, Ben Roethlisberger and his thoughts on elite quarterbacks and what might make those.
Again, I think you're wired differently, and I think Ben is. I think, you talk about development. I'm sure he developed as a quarterback and where he went in Miami of Ohio, but he doesn't. He's going to throw the ball. He's going to make plays. He wants to make plays, and he may throw an interception or two, but at the end of the day, he's going to trust his arm. He's going to trust his talent. He's going to trust what he sees, and he's worried about making the play as opposed to worried about not making it. And I think that's the mentality of great players. They don't worry about, well, what if this happens or what if I throw a pick? It's like, what happens if I throw a touchdown? Like, we're gonna win the game.
So as you guys heard right there, he definitely had some interesting comments to make about kind of what makes up elite quarterback. And so what do you guys think that someone with the type of philosophy like he has, about not losing confidence and maybe things like that could do for someone like a Marcus Mariota, especially if he had the right staff around him?
They could win the Super Bowl next year.
Really?
I think so.
How close do we honestly think we are to something like that, like feasibly?
When you sit down and look at it, our guys aren't bad. We have a lot of young guys in their early 20s, really. And we just were a game away from the AFC title game. And you can see it with Jacksonville right now. It makes me sick that they're in the AFC championship game, but we beat them twice, and they're playing to go to the Super Bowl. And we didn't even have a good coaching staff this year. And we still won 9 games. We probably could have won 12, maybe 13, but we didn't. And getting the right guy in there could get us over that hump. And that's why I think we could. Especially with, you got to think the AFC quarterbacks are getting older every year. You got Tom Brady, who's 40. He doesn't have that much left in the tank, no matter how many steroids he does. You got Ben Roethlisberger, who seemingly gains 50 pounds every year. You have Blake Bortles, which I'm still not scared of, regardless if he wins an AFC Championship or Super Bowl. And who else in the playoffs? Tyrod Taylor, is that right?
Yeah. As far as playoff quarterbacks.
And then, Alex Smith, we beat him, not scared of him.
Joe Flacco beat them regular season.
And
not scared.
Deshaun Watson, he's the only one.
I do want to read this to you guys. So here's some of the ages, some of the notable Titans. Marcus Mariota, 24. Derrick Henry, 23. Corey Davis, 23. Kevin Byard, 24. Jack Conklin, 23. Lawan, 26. Adoree, 22. Logan Ryan, 26. Avery Williamson, 25. This is still a really young team.
And that's why I think a young coach would perfectly fit in here, because he would be coaching a lot of guys that he's not much older than, and it would work so well because they feel like that they could relate to him. You know what I mean? Kind of like we heard Cushing talking about earlier. It means so much to players when they feel like they have a coach that they really can listen to what he says, apply it to the field, and it will actually work.
I agree.
As do I.
What do you think would be some of the biggest changes, regardless of the coach, whether it's Vrabel or whoever else, as far as offense with the maximizing the talent that we have type of comments? Here's a couple stats that I want to lay out for you before you answer. Marcus Mariota, in the NFL this season, he was the highest graded quarterback, according to Pro Football Focus, while under pressure. He almost had a better passer rating when he was under duress as he did with a clean pocket. So that's one thing to definitely consider. And here's another one for you. No quarterback had a higher passer rating on play action than Marcus Mariota in the 2017 regular season. And he is 20 points higher than anybody else. So thinking about those two things, both of you can answer this one if you want to. As far as play action, getting him not necessarily under pressure on purpose, but kind of flushed out of the pocket, what are probably some of the most important changes and things that we could utilize in our new look offense?
Just run plays that he's good at. Don't ever go under center. Ever. Unless it's 4th and a half a foot. Because if it's 4th and 1, we're not going to get it. You guys saw that against New England.
That play's got to go.
Oh, that play has to go.
Well, he got jerked by his face mask.
Well, that should have been a penalty. I'll give you that one. But lining up 6 yards in the backfield to get 1 yard is worst thing you could ever do.
That's a fullback dive play right there.
Literally.
Or even a quarterback sneak. I don't know. I mean, just run. Literally, there's a vine that I know Drake will know. Andrew, you should know it too. When it says Marcus Mariota is real life Madden, which was like either last year or his rookie year when they were running an option, and he literally fake pitched it 20 yards downfield, and then pitch it, and they got like 50 yards. Just
I know
run stuff
exactly what
like
you're
that.
talking about.
Yep.
That is literally like, dude,
That like encapsulates who he is as a quarterback. You know what I mean? Like he's so dynamic, so versatile, and kind of like we've been saying, maximizing the talent that he has.
you got to build the offense around him. And that's what makes a lot of teams successful. When you look at, Green Bay when they're all healthy, even like the 49ers kind of with Jimmy G, and the Patriots kind of as well. I mean, if you set him up for success, he's going to do it. I mean, he won a Heisman. So why shouldn't we run like RPOs ever?
Yeah, like the truth is in the stats. Mariota does way better when he's on the move. When he's under pressure, he's going to be on the move. On play action, he's going to be on the move. If you can get him rolling out either way, I feel like it just almost like clears his head, and he slows the game down, and that's what all the grades do.
Well, one thing that I've seen too is that a lot of people are taking some of these stats and comments from our upper management and thinking that we want to get Mariota on the edges, like running more, like design type runs. I don't think that's what we want to do at all, because we've already seen that when you do that, he's more prone to get injured and get hurt. To me, kind of like you guys are saying, I would just advise him to move the pockets, and if you're going to roll out, just get to the sideline.
Since we're reflecting on the last game of the year, we want to do something a little different. We wanted to give report cards for two players of our choosing, one being the one that we thought exceeded expectations and the one that failed to meet them. So I'm going to start with my failed expectations. Logan Ryan. Yes, he was average and he was pretty good at some points, but he just wasn't what he was made out to be when it was all said and done. Yes, he was a presence, but he just never was that X factor that I definitely was expecting him to be. So my exceeding expectation player was Wesley Woodyard. He was good last year and the year before, but I felt like he finally took control of the defense like a linebacker should, and he probably should have had one of those captain patches on his shirts because everybody listened to him and he was a freaking baller. So who would you guys pick?
So for my failed to meet expectations player, I got to go with Corey Davis. He seemed to have a really frustrating year, although he did make that crazy one-handed catch in the game this past Saturday. But what spot did we draft him out of?
I think he was top 5, yeah.
We're talking about a dude that's a top 5 draft pick that had, 2 touchdowns in the last game of the year, and that was it?
Yeah.
So that's kind of disappointing.
I think we saw glimpses of what he will be next year.
I think so too. I think that's the only saving grace as far as the end of this run.
I mean, if he doesn't catch those 2 touchdown passes, he's on the brink of a make or break year next year.
Yeah, that helped him out a lot. But who's your exceeded expectations player, Andrew?
For my guy that exceeded expectations this year, I'm going to go with Kevin Byard. He finished with 8 interceptions, which is probably 8 more than anybody expected him to have. And he was a real presence in the defensive backfield. I thought he looked good this year.
Well, as far as my guy that really kind of underperformed in my kind of preseason expectations for him this year, we've already kind of touched on it, would probably have to be Jack Conklin. I feel like after last year with literally his first team all-pro type performance at right tackle opposite Taylor Lewan, I really thought that this year the two of them were going to kind of show that last year wasn't a fluke. They were going to really cement themselves as the bookends of that offensive line. And it's not like that he was someone that needs to be cut or be benched or that he's not our starting right tackle, but you could just tell throughout every game and every week he was just not playing up to that level that he set for himself last year, and a lot of that was just heightened expectations, and hopefully this year is more of the anomaly, whereas last year could be seen as that if he doesn't perform well next year. But we hope that he's going to get back to last season form, which may be difficult to do after an ACL tear, but we're going to hope. And as far as my guy that exceeded expectations, I was definitely going to say Kevin Byard because that's the easiest pick, but someone I think that really did step in from week 1 and have a tremendous impact on our team, it's got to be Adoree Jackson, because he was put on every team that we played, their number 1 receiver for many snaps a game. And did he struggle at times? Yes. Was he the perfect cover corner? No. but he made the big plays when he absolutely had to. He got in on a lot of different pass breakups. He would get hands in there, arms in there, get guys tangled up, whatever that he needed to do to make the plays when they mattered the most. It seemed like that he was always around the ball, and I was honestly very impressed with the type of performance that a true rookie corner honestly went out and started every single game for us and didn't miss many snaps and played some offense. So definitely exceeded my expectations for him.
That's actually kind of interesting because I thought about using Adoree as my player that failed to meet expectations, but not as a DB, but as a return man.
Ooh, yes, I do agree with that.
He was supposed to be that electric guy, but he did show flashes of it this year. But, he just dropping punts now and then. It just kind of let me down there, but he did perform at corner.
Well, my thing is there's just not many return guys, punt or kick, in the NFL anymore that are as dynamic because I feel like that they've significantly reduced the impact of kickoffs because it really is almost like you're penalizing yourself not to just take the ball at the 25 because so few returners can honestly get it back to the 25.
It should be an automatic knee, really.
At this point with the injuries and everything else, taking out as many high-speed hits as we possibly can really may not be the worst idea. So, I don't know. It does take out some dynamic plays at times, and I do agree that he did not have any of the ones that I thought he would. Only in the preseason did he even take one, and obviously that one got called back on a penalty. So, I don't know. We'll see if I feel like, though, as he gets more of an important role, he probably won't return anymore.
But wait! There's more! Hang on to your seat, baby!
And now it is time for everyone's favorite segment, Atrocious Takes, presented by Ronald's Napkins. They clean ya face. So, this is going to be our last one of the year until, I'm assuming the preseason or if anything comes up between now and opening weekend for the NFL, I guess. Almost said opening day, but then I remembered this isn't the MLB. Okay, so my atrocious take is that our controlling owner, Amy Strunk, sells the team to my dad for at least $5. Once my dad comes into complete and full ownership of the team, the first thing he does, he hires an offensive coordinator, his best friend, Coach Chris Bundy. And he decides that he will be the head coach. My dad decides that. Once he decides this, he and Jerry Jones get into a verbal altercation. And Commissioner Roger Goodell sides with my dad, sides with the Titans, and pulls the Cowboys out of Dallas and moves them to Vancouver. And that is my final atrocious take of the 2017-2018 season.
My atrocious take for the end of the year / off season would definitely have to be, let's see here. Okay, so we have been talking a lot about this entire season that the Titans need a viable backup that isn't Matt Castle to be, kind of our guy that will come in when Mariota gets hurt and he gets knocked out of games. So, as we saw throughout his 2-year tenure at the University of Kentucky, I feel like that the Titans, even though he announced today that he is no longer going to play football at any level, we need to coerce Steven Johnson to come out of his so-called retirement and be the backup quarterback of the future for the Tennessee Titans. And he will come in during some season in the distant future when Mariota is hurt and lead us to the Super Bowl, even though he could not win the Music City Bowl while at Kentucky.
Very nice.
All right, here we go. So, my last atrocious take of the year. The Patriots played the Titans on Saturday with balls that were not up to the league standard in pressurized air.
Are you saying the Patriots' balls were a little wrinkly?
Wrinkly, deflated, whatever.
Unable to produce?
I think they produced plenty.
They were producing all night. I don't know what you're talking about. But anyway, so we get involved in a little Deflategate Part 2. And Commissioner Goodell gives Bill Belichick 2 options. He says, you can either become the new coach of the Tennessee Titans, or you can give the Titans your place in the AFC Championship. And old Belichick, he's you know how much he loves the press and loves making big statements. And old Mr. Belichick here says, why not both? So he goes to the Titans. They absolutely dominate Saxonville in the AFC Championship. They tear up whoever they play in the Super Bowl, and it goes down as an even greater dynasty than Belichick with the Patriots.
Can I insert one more atrocious take that I will lift from PFT Commenter, but I thought it was too hilarious not to mention.
Oh my gosh, don't say it. I think I know where you're going.
because I read in one of his mock blog posts, hilarious, by the way. Every week he writes these full satire, but written like they're serious. Matt Patricia, do we think that this man, who is seemingly always cooking up something on the sideline, when they cut over to him, it's always something. And do we notice that he's always writing in a lead pencil on a laminated piece of paper? So you know that nothing is actually being written on that piece of paper. Nonetheless, there was a little bit of a bomb/nuclear threat going on in Hawaii, very close to game time for Mariota and his Titans. So are we really going to think that the Patriots had absolutely nothing to do with the distraction for all the Hawaiians, including our quarterback? I don't know.
I think he had something to do with it. I really do.
Something has something to do with this. All right, no one is going to convince me that just someone pressed a button that would put out a message so specific.
Exactly. And have
Let's
you guys
say-
seen the video that I retweeted?
What was
Where
it?
every touchdown the Patriots score, they throw the football into the stands?
I did see that.
Andrew, have you seen that?
Yes.
They did something. They always do. We should be the ones to uncover it.
We're going to start a full-scale investigation. This is going to be like, I'm sure you guys have never seen that movie. It's called Spotlight, where they like go it's actually in like Boston Globe, I'm pretty sure, and they like expose all the like Catholic priests and all the stuff they do. We're going to start a like big investigation on the Patriots and everything they do, uncover even more. We're going to get our Titans a victory. We're going to get the record books changed.
Man, I swear.
But hopefully, here in a couple
Cheating
years,
asses, man.
whenever Belichick and Brady and all of them are gone and we are living the high life, maybe we'll look back on this stupid loss and firing of Mularkey and realize it was the best thing that could have happened.
Hopefully. I guess we'll see here in about a calendar year.
Yeah, seriously. I think a lot will be seen in just 1 year as far as whether we made the right move.
So this is the last thing that I want to say. What do you guys think from right now? What do you guys think the Titans' record is next year? Not knowing who the coach is going to be or anything like that. The way too early prediction, I guess.
I'm gonna say 14-2.
Oof.
Titans are going off next year.
My prediction for the Titans' record next year, I say 10-6 is a nice, respectable, even prediction. Some toss-up games, some tough ones, home and away. We already know our home and away opponents, just not the exact like order and schedule, whatever. But there'll be some tough home games. I think we'll pull out a few road wins. Probably get to about 10-6, maybe a little bit better than this year, but with a tougher schedule. And hopefully we'll be riding into the playoffs again. But
I dig. I'm going to say 12-4, and we beat the goofy out of the Patriots.
in the divisional, in the
No.
season, we actually play them in
The
regular season
season.
next year too. Okay.
Wouldn't that be nice?
Yeah,
Beat the
exactly.
goofy out of old Billy B.
Did you say Billy Bean, GM of the Oakland A's?
Wrong sport, buddy.
Oh.
God, I'm sorry.
Once again, Andrew, this is not Sox Down South.
Are you talking about the Moneyball team? Oh, Moneyball.
The deflated ball team? What?
Wrong team.
The Big Baller team?
Show.
Shout out to Big Baller brand.
Hey, we're big ballers.
Hell yeah. We are the Big Baller Podcast. Well, do you guys have anything else that you guys want to mention before we get out of here on episode 10?
Well, it's been however long it's been, and I still have not been contacted about a Lawan cutout, so that's getting kind of frustrating.
Huh.
Yes. Still trending in our universe anyway is find Lawan cutout. Let's get that started again. Hopefully we can drum up some interest and see if we can get Andrew his cutout.
I will pay.
With actions or money?
Maybe both. We'll see.
Yeah, I guess I'll add one more little thing. So I was texting Drake yesterday. I viewed the photos from players cleaning out their lockers from this. I guess it was the day after the game, so Sunday afternoon. I didn't know that the amount of just junk that they have in their lockers. Like, I saw one guy with like 10 pairs of cleats, 5 jerseys. Like, I get it, it's the NFL. I totally understand. But they get to keep their helmets too,
And
which
I don't
makes
know that
no
they
sense.
do every single year. I think that's what we were talking about too. I think it might have something to do with our redesign.
Oh, you think so?
I really do. I think so. because I don't really think that every year they get to keep them. I could be wrong, but
Gosh, we didn't even talk about that. We have to talk about that whenever we record again.
yeah, whenever we get on, and maybe that'll be one of our topics as far as the off season. Maybe even a neutral zone episode, which we've got to mention to our listeners here. Potentially next week. We'll definitely let you guys know with a tweet or something, but it could be next week, maybe here just in the coming weeks with the Super Bowl coming up and looming large. We probably will be recording another episode of the Neutral Zone with all three of us as the permanent host, remember? And that could be in replacement of Feels Like 99 1 week. It could be a special double episode week. We'll just have to see how it all plays out, but we wanted to let you guys know that we didn't forget about it or anything, but that is coming. So be on the lookout for that in the coming weeks.
So have you guys said everything you need to say?
Yep, but I think there's one thing we're forgetting.
Gosh. Oh my gosh. Andrew, do you have any idea what this is? I think it has to do with maybe an arrest?
Handcuffs.
Handcuffs, right. Andrew, you want to take it?
I wouldn't want to cuff you.
You've been listening to the Feels Like 99 podcast with Drake Kizer and Caleb Waters. You can find the podcast on Twitter at Feels Like 99 Pod.
You can find the Feels Like 99 podcast on our new website, feelslike99.wordpress.com. And you can find just about everything you need there. You can find the archives of the Feels Like 99 podcast on YouTube. If you search Feels Like 99 podcast, you can subscribe by hitting the subscribe button.
You can find my co-host, Drake Kizer, on Twitter at DrakeKizer_. You can find myself on Twitter at CalebWaters_14.
Tell a friend about the Feels Like 99 podcast. Could be a friend, girlfriend, boyfriend, Titans fan, Jags fan. Could be any of them, We talk about more than just the Titans. We talk about it all on the Feels Like 99 podcast. It's a podcast for everybody, guys.
So, with that being said, I want to thank the Titans for an up and down football season. It was an eventful year, for sure. From Marcus breaking his leg on Christmas Eve day last year to winning a playoff game this year. Pretty big swing of events. So, signing off from myself, Drake Kizer, and our recurring guest, Andrew Waters.
This is Caleb.
Thanks, ugly God. Thanks, ugly God. Thanks, ugly God. Thanks, ugly God.
Hey, say that again and say uncomfortable in this.
Uncomfortable. All right. It's
Drake, is that a word? Wait, before he says that, is that a word, Drake?
I don't know that what he said or what you said, either one are really like either. I don't know that what he said is necessarily wrong, and I don't know that that was necessarily right.
I'm going to say discomfort.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
That's what we're looking for.